Here's a question for you. Do you remember the list you wrote in January? The intentions, the goals, the version of this year you were planning toward when you sat down on January 1st? And how does that list look from where you're sitting right now? Some of it probably still fits, some of it has shifted, and some of it, when you look at it now, might feel like it belongs to a different woman entirely. There's a body of research on this that almost no one talks about. It shows that letting go of a goal in the right moment is one of the healthiest things you can do for your well being. More on that in a minute. I'm Coach Janet J. And today, on your next best step, we are doing a compassionate 6 month check in. And by the end, you are going to know exactly which one thing still matters for the second half of your year. So, here's something that's been on my mind this year. Back in January, I wrote out my intentions for 2026. Some of them were what you might expect: move my body more, read more, stay on top of certain things in the house, handful of relational goals, some financial goals, and the list assumed something that I didn't really notice at the time. It assumed I was going to give equal weight to all of those goals, as if a tidy junk drawer mattered as much as the bigger work I was already in the middle of. Because here is what was actually true in January. I was already deep into this podcast. We had launched in October, and I was in the middle of editing a Bible study on women of the Bible. Both of those started in 2025. Both of those carried real weight. Both of them needed a lot of my attention to do well. By June, I sat down and looked at my January list and realized something. The two big things from 2025 had taken priority all year. And they should have. They were the right priorities. Several items on my January list had simply gotten less of my attention. And when I looked at them again in June, some of them were genuinely no longer pulling at me. They had served as placeholders, things I felt like I should want to do more than things I actually wanted to do. That was the moment I understood something about June. By June, you have been tested. 6 months of real life has shown you what you actually have capacity for, what is genuinely pulling at you, and what is more habit than calling. And you can use that information instead of carrying it around as guilt. Here's what I want to offer today. Most of us were taught that January is for setting goals and December is for measuring whether we hit them. The middle of the year? That's just the part where we feel vaguely guilty about the list. I want to suggest something different. June is the month for editing. Adding is what we do in January. We pick up a few new things, new habits, new plans, new intentions. The slate is blank and the energy is high, and we put a lot of weight on that fresh start. Editing is a different animal. Editing is what you do when you have 6 months of real life data. You now know what fits into your actual schedule. You know what your energy has been like. You know what has pulled at you and what has felt like a chore. You know which goals were about the woman you are becoming and which ones were about who someone else thought you should be. That is information you may not have had in January. And that is the kind of information that makes editing the wise move. There is a body of research that speaks to this directly, and it is genuinely encouraging. Back in 2003, a psychologist named Karsten Wrosch and his colleagues at Concordia University published a paper in Personality and Social Psychology Bulletin. They studied what happens when people face goals that are no longer working for them. The headline finding: people who are able to disengage from a goal that no longer fits and who redirect their energy towards something more meaningful report higher well-being than people who white-knuckle their way through a goal that has stopped serving them. That finding held up. In 2020, a meta-analysis led by Megan Barlow, also at Concordia, pulled together 31 separate samples looking at the same pattern. The conclusion: The ability to let go of an unworkable goal and re engage with something more meaningful is linked together with a better psychological well being across studies. A few caveats matter here. This research is correlational, which means we are seeing a pattern rather than a guarantee. And the studies measure tendencies over time, not single decisions. Still, the pattern is consistent enough across 2 decades of research that it deserves a seat at our table today. The research is specifically about goals that have stopped fitting your life, your season, your energy, your priorities. When that is the case, releasing and redirecting is a form of wisdom. Your brain knows the difference between giving up at the first hard moment and letting go of something whose time has actually passed. So let me bring this a little more directly to you. If you are listening to this, you have lived through 6 months of a very specific year. Your year, not a generic one on a calendar somewhere. Think about the one thing that has happened since January that you did not see coming. Maybe it was good. Maybe it was hard. Maybe it was both at once. Whatever it was, it shaped you. It changed what you have energy for. It changed what you care about. It changed what a realistic week looks like. All of that counts as information. Real, usable, 6 months lived data. The kind of data you make wiser choices with. And you are allowed to let it change the plan. There's a passage in Ecclesiastes 3 that fits this moment perfectly. Many of us know the opening of that chapter. There is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. That is verse 1. Keep reading, though. Verse 6 says, a time to search and a time to give up, a time to keep and a time to throw away. Did you catch that? Right there in the middle of Scripture is explicit permission to release things. Some things, the things whose season has passed. The writer of Ecclesiastes is telling us that life moves in seasons, and the wisdom is knowing which season you are in. A time to keep and a time to throw away. Both of those things are holy. Both of them are part of a well-lived life. And some of what God has for you in the second half of this year may only have room to arrive when you set down some of what you were carrying from the first half. This touches all 4 pillars quickly. Mentally, it gives your brain a clearer signal about what actually matters. Emotionally, it releases the low-grade guilt of carrying around goals you have already set aside in practice. Physically, it frees up the energy that was going into either pursuing those goals or feeling bad about not pursuing them. Spiritually, it lets you see what God might be doing in this next season that you could not see in January. Your next best step is this one. Pull out your January intentions, if you wrote them down. If you didn't, just think about what you hoped this year would hold when you looked at the calendar on January 1st. Cross off anything that no longer matters. Really, draw a line through it. Release it. Then circle the one thing that still pulls at you. Just one. That is your second half compass. Not 6 things, 1. So here's where we've been. June is your editing season. The research from Wrosch and the meta-analysis from Barlow tell us that letting go of goals that no longer fit is linked to better well-being across the studies we have. And Ecclesiastes 3 reminds us there is a time to keep and a time to throw away. Both of those are about living wisely. You have more information in June than you had in January. Use it. Cross off what no longer matters. Circle the one thing that still pulls. That is your compass for the second half. Friday, we're going somewhere a little heavier. If you have ever found yourself at 2 a.m. reading an article about Alzheimer's because your mom forgot the name of something or because you forgot the name of something, that episode is for you. We're going to talk about brain health in a calm, grounded way with the research that really matters. And just so you know, episode 100 is coming up in a couple of weeks. I've been working on something special for it. More soon. Follow or subscribe wherever you are listening or watching so you do not miss an episode. And if you have a moment, a rating or review makes a huge difference. It helps other women find this show, and I'm so grateful for everyone. I will see you on Friday. Take your next best step.